was reported.
We covered this already when it first happened. Yeah, he said as he privately told business leaders this week, he discouraged the use of the phrase "globalized intifada" after learning how it impacts Jewish New Yorkers. I think it's not that relevant or significant. I hope Zahran is seeing how the liberal Zionist advice he got from Bernie and AOC is completely untenable if he wants to keep grassroots support and actually win in the election. Every time he takes advice from them to soften towards Israel, it would be a fatal error. I don't think it's as impactful one way or another. But I think that he shouldn't, on principle, soften any of those stances, especially because he has the correct position and especially because it shows that he is earnest. And the amount of concessions, no, he's not pushing away his base. The concessions that he gives to liberal Zionists on what kind of language that he's using serves a different purpose. It doesn't actually fracture his base. It discontinues his perfect way to cut through the noise. It becomes additional hurdles that he sets up for himself. Because when you give a concession like that, like Jeremy Corbyn responding consistently to allegations of anti-Semitism, cut away at the finite amount of time he had to talk about his policies. Okay? That's it. That's the most impactful part of this conversation. You don't want the entire back and forth to be around how much you hate Jews by cynical actors, okay? Cynical actors consistently claiming you hate Jews, you hate Jews, you hate Jews, and you're like, oh, I don't hate Jews, I don't hate Jews, I love Jewish people, and I'm so sorry that I said something that was what created a fearful environment and like all this like fucking standpoint theory bullshit. Like nobody gives a fuck about this. And I mean, it's stupid. It's just a stupid thing to do. It is a fucking incredibly stupid thing to do. It makes you look like a loser. It becomes a larger problem. It becomes a larger problem because you offer it, you give it credence. You lend this cynical framework credence. It's like when people force you to or demand you apologize for some shit that they misunderstood. When you offer that apology, you're basically admitting that they were right, but they aren't right in this circumstance. Are they right? Are you actually creating a panicked environment around Jews in New York? Or is this carefully crafted hysteria? Because if you apologize for something like that, all of a sudden you are saying, oh, well, unintentionally I did create a dangerous environment for Jews. Okay, well, good luck. You didn't do that. My record on Palestine speaks for itself. I'm proud of it. One of the strongest in Congress. I throw down for pro-Palestine candidates, largely unrecognized work. That's fine. Disagreements are also fine too. But if you want to toss all that for one half-assed MTG stump, be my guest. I know where I stand. Oh God. Oh. For someone like myself, okay, her record on Palestine is precisely the reason why I expect her not to make a decision like this, to go out on a limb to say like, oh, we need to keep giving defensive weapons to Israel. Okay? That's it. It is her past record that doesn't make sense with this. Like Israel's doing a genocide. Okay, Nazi Germany is doing a Holocaust, but we have to give them anti-aircraft weapons is crazy, right? Like that's... Anybody that says that would be laughed out of the fucking room. What are you, Nicholas Fuentes? What the fuck do you mean we need to give them anti-aircraft weapons? And it sucks because you expect the politicians in this regard to actually be a leadership role, to play a leadership role, and to respond not this way to unreasonable and also some reasonable criticisms. Cutting through the noise in this regard is very difficult as someone who obviously eats a lot of this kind of stupid, silly shit online. But the worst possible thing to do in this regard is to unironically keep responding to the online left. That's it. Yeah, here is her record. Rashida Tlaib, 97%. Omar, 93%. Ramirez, 89%. Summer Lee, 88%. AOC, 86%. Ayanna Pressley, 82%. Garcia, 77%. Jayapal, 71%. Greg Kazar, 71%. Watson Coleman, 63%. Out of Senate Democrats, Sanders is at 100%, but that's only because a lot of these are House bills. There's more House bills that come out in defense of Palestine and Palestinians. Merkley is at 83%. Pete Welch is at 75%. Van Hollen is at 60%. And Warren is at 54%. Bernie has only 100% because the Senate doesn't vote on as many Israel-Palestine resolutions as the House, and we don't count the ones that pass by unanimous consent. He'd probably have a lower score than AOC if he were in the House. This is also not wrong. And for the record, like, I mean, this is disastrous when you think about it, because this is such a black and white issue that it is disastrous that like the 10th best congressperson on the issue of Palestine in the House is at 63%. Like, it blows my mind. Told you she's doing this to stay away from Marjorie Taylor Greene. How would have AOC combated? AOC is with Marjorie Taylor Greene in a TV ad that's on repeat. She would have obviously faced in a 2028 Dem primary. Are you guys failing to understand the issue here? No, she did say that, but it doesn't matter. So did Summer Lee. So did Rashida Tlaib. So did Ilhan Omar. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? It doesn't fucking matter, because the issue that she agreed with Marjorie Taylor Greene on was an issue that is an 80-20 issue in the Democratic primary. What are you talking about? 80% favors Marjorie Taylor Greene on this issue. It's an 80-20 issue for the Democratic Party. Get the fuck out of here. If Marjorie Taylor Greene tomorrow came out and said she wants Medicare for all and put a fucking messaging bill out there for Medicare for all, then I suspect that many other Democrats would take advantage of that opportunity. Can one of your mods approve my chat message? I have to head out. What is this? I'm getting around to watching clips from today. My favorite quote from the Nelk Boys: we've had all types of different guests on our show. Netanyahu, Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, Hasanabi, we are diverse. I know. It killed my soul a little bit when I saw that. Also, not only did she not just talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, she also elaborated further on why she thought it was a good idea to vote against the MTG amendment, which was defend the reason. Defend a reason by saying, well, you know, Israel still has a right to defend itself with our defensive weapons. If anything, coming out and saying, well, they deserve to have a lifetime supply of Tamir interceptors is almost worse than even fucking voting no on the amendment. Ridiculous. Anne? Oh, Nizo. Not bad. Neyi? Oo, arabayı dur. Benim şarjda takılı şu anda. O zaman bozuldu. Trip atmıştır o zaman. Trip atmıştır. Ha, takmadın. O zaman çıkar, ondan sonra diğerini tak. Her defense and the not vote is 100% worse because of her justification. Yeah, that's what I mean. Anyway, it's just like an incredibly disappointing moment. Alex Thompson reports, new, Mamdani is scrambling to woo the Democratic and New York City business establishment. So far, they're playing hard to get. Given the extremely low approval ratings, Brian Tashman reports, given the extremely low approval rating of congressional Democratic leaders, including among Democratic voters, not sure an endorsement from them means as much as it once might have. Who is the guy in the video you just played about anti-Semitism? Norm Finkelstein, the GOAT. Anyway, this is, Zahran needs the New York City business vote. Zahran needs the moderate Democrats to be on his side. It's like, no, the moderate Democrats should be begging to get a crumb of the organic attention that Zahran has been able to develop. It should be the other way around. Okay? If a more moderate Democrat beats a progressive in the 2028 primary, as in 2016 and 2020, it will be tough to convince progressives to unite behind the nominee when the Democratic establishment won't rally behind Zahran Mamdani after his convincing primary win, says Dan Pfeiffer, and he is not wrong. Except he's saying that to the moderate Democrats to try to get them to wake up, when in fact the moderate Democrats don't care about that. Moderate Democrat, not voters, but moderate Democrat leaders see someone like Zahran as a major spoiler, a much bigger problem that must be addressed than the right-wing neo-Nazis even, okay? That's the problem. Because Zahran presents a real threat to their cushy jobs, to their these are creature comforts, okay? They like being in this position of power and not really doing anything and being able to farm donos off of how fucking awful the Republicans have been.
After your meeting on Friday, are you prepared to endorse Mamdani? And if you don't go that far now, or if you're dragging this out, do you run the risk of turning off more progressive members of the delegation, or excuse me, of the Democratic coalition?
At the meeting on Friday, we agreed to reconvene with other members of the delegation and high-level community leaders in Brooklyn upon his return to the country.
After your meeting on Friday, are you prepared?
Yeah, Hakeem Jeffries is apparently worried. It's as if the voters are saying, I'm in charge now, and that's not hard to see why. Today marks the one-year anniversary of Joe Biden dropping out of the presidential race. On Saturday, 35-year-old Minnesota State Senator Omar Fateh won the Minnesota's governing party's endorsement for the mayor of Minneapolis. Without any major organizational backing, Fateh defeated the two-term incumbent Jacob Frey, who had the backing of Senator Amy Klobuchar, former Minneapolis Mayor Sharon Sales Belton, and a long list of party officials. Mamdani, meanwhile, is poised to become mayor of America's largest city, winning the primary without the support of his party's leadership and now snubbed by the very same leaders who made excuse after excuse for Biden right up until it was too late to find a candidate who might defeat Donald Trump. Trump is left having to argue the Jeffrey Epstein scandal is a nothing burger. Party discipline is on its deathbed. Yes, Mamdani and Fateh are both millennial-age Muslim men born to immigrant parents, but more substantive is their common message. Both Fateh and Mamdani ran campaigns focused on affordability and economic relief for the working class, including rent control to address the insane cost of housing, by now a national humiliation having put not only home ownership, but even just renting out of reach for many. Unlike many of their colleagues who might talk a good game about affordability by focusing on rent control, Mamdani and Fateh gained credibility by identifying the problem as landlords, a powerful lobby others avoid crossing. They both had gained further credibility by showing that they were willing to go to war with their own party. Mamdani, of course, chose to campaign against the notoriously vindictive former Governor Cuomo, who had a seemingly endless list of party endorsements, including Bill Clinton, numerous members of Congress, and countless state officials. Many were the same officials who called for Cuomo's resignation in 2021 amid allegations of misconduct. Today, we saw the power corporations hold on our government despite the trifecta, Fateh said in a statement, referring to the Democratic control of all three branches of Minnesota government. He then singled out the Walz administration, saying, while Uber and Lyft had access to the administration and elected officials, I want to make it clear that not once has the administration reached out to the drivers. Not one conversation. The revolution will not be authorized by the party, at least not in its current form. Democratic Party leaders still refuse to endorse Mamdani, who is poised to win the city with the same Uber and Lyft drivers and other unprecedented voices who have the temerity to vote. When asked if he would endorse Mamdani, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries continues to trot out the laughable excuse that I don't know him well. In a lot of ways, the intransience by party leaders makes sense because this battle is existential for them. Polling shows that a majority of Democrats want to kick their party leaders to the curb. if the Mamdanis of the world keep winning, that's what will happen.